Hello, Lisa Richard here with Loving Energy Recharge. Welcome to the Inner Alchemy for November the 5th, leading us through to the 10th. We are starting off the energy in the full moon in the sign of Taurus. Now, moons represent our feminine nature. So it is bringing you into the body, into the water that is within your body. So just like the moon affects the oceans, the tides, the ebbs, and the flow, you as well are affected by the moon cycles. So it is drawing you deeply inwards to shine a light on the areas right now of resources, self-worth, your stability, your foundation. What keeps coming up for me is the phrase grounded practicality. So really taking a look at where you are and also noticing where you have come from. Now, at the same time, we are in a Scorpio season. So Scorpio season is bringing us into the 8th house of death, transformation, and intimacy. This is a water sign. So we have a lot of water, a lot of stimulation within the water, the body of you, that is really there to expose the root, to get to the root issue. So when we combine the elements of Taurus being an earth sign and Scorpio being a water sign, we have an opportunity to clear away the earth. So just like an archaeological dig, you can really put some water into getting to the bottom of your own transformation, allowing yourself to be more intimate, meaning showing up as your authentic self. Or when you have a lot of water, and you have a lot of earth, meaning that you are stuck in your patterns and the ways that you've always done certain things, it starts to create a lot of mud. And when we create a lot of mud because we are in our emotional body and we are in the fears, in the root center, afraid to move forward, afraid to challenge certain things, we get stuck in the mud. So we're coming across the midway point on, I think it's around November the 7th. It's the midway point between the fall equinox and the winter solstice. This is one of the directional gates through the teachings of human design. It's looking at the mandala wheel, the wheel of change. It's also reflected in the gene keys and its 64 codon strands within your body. It is finally shifting us out of the splenic center and up into the higher heart. And as we're being drawn up into the higher heart, the compass is pointing us in the direction of where are we now? So it's your opportunity in this full moon energy, in this midpoint, to stop and pause and to consider for yourself, where are you now? Where are you in terms of your emotional well-being, your mental well-being, your physical well-being, bringing yourself back into balance? Now, it's also an opportunity to reflect back. And if you are feeling like your energy is just drained, feeling like you're stuck and you can't move forward, or even feeling like you're just numb, you're just tired and feeling that sense of almost wanting to give up, here's a reminder of what we've all just gone through, literally in the last 5.5 weeks. And I love that it's been 5.5 weeks because to me, the number 5 is all about change. So a 5, even if a decimal was in the middle of that, puts everything back into your hands. It puts us back into the responsibility of the self to be our own alchemist, which is the teaching of Scorpio season. So since the fall equinox, that brought us back into a love of the body, reminding yourself of the human vessel that is housing your spirit. And it really brought to our attention the need to start releasing all of those things that were holding you back. So just like Mother Earth shows us through the season of fall, the natural surrendering over of the leaves, And it can be a gradual process. It could be a fast process. It just depends on where you are within your own journey. But it was the reminder to fall back in love with the human that is holding your soul, your spirit. You are the vessel of that divine child within yourself. And it brought us back into reminding ourselves about the laws of the universe, about the concept of serendipity, which is known as lady luck, and the opportunities to just show up the right place at the right time to get exactly what you need. Now, that was all dependent upon attitude. It mattered the frame of mind that you were using to show up. And if you were stuck in the shadow of being too serious, not trusting the body's nudges and urges to take a different route, to show up at someone's house, to pick up the phone and make a call when you heard somebody's name come through, then you were missing out on those opportunities. From that point of the fall equinox, we were dropped into the splenic center. The splenic center, through the teachings of human design, is your ancient awareness center. This is your animal instincts. It holds the primal fears related to survival, but it also houses our deepest intuition. So think of this as a journey back into the ancestors, back into the roots of your own foundation, to look at our collective fears, to really get an assessment of, how is this serving in this day and age? Does that still feel correct for you? Or are you ready to move through those fears, creating a stronger structure, a stronger foundation within yourself, moving deeper into your intuitive body, allowing joy to come once again, and trusting the alignment that is correct for you? So we were all dropped back down to face those ancient fears. And for the last 5.5 weeks, that is where you've been. So when we look at the turning of the mandala wheel and the pattern that is afforded to us, we went through a journey of facing the fear of authority. Here you looked at judgment, you looked at flaws, you might have had a lot of mind talk coming in for yourself, old things that have been conditioned upon you. Maybe being forced to stand up to an authority, to reclaim your own inner authority. From there, we went into a fear of inadequacy. So being challenged for feeling, I don't know enough. I'm not smart enough. I don't know how to cope in that. And perhaps, again, being drawn deeper into the body's wisdom, where you have everything you need to survive and to thrive embedded within your cellular DNA. So we've over-cultivated the mind and its tendency to want knowledge, that we have forgotten about the wisdom that we arrived with. From there, we went into a fear of the future. There was a shaking up of the ground, an alertness through sound that something is coming, change is coming. And when we are so reactive to always looking over our shoulder, always second guessing ourselves, always putting our worries and our fears so far ahead, we miss the subtle clues that come through the gentleness of the vibrational energy that'll naturally alert you when something needs to pivot and change. So you may have been drawn into a deeper stillness within yourself. You may have become more aware of how you are affected by sound, how noise is starting to really aggravate you. Again, calling you back into the stillness of your body. We then went into a fear of failure. A fear of failure prevents us from even trying. And again, this is collective in nature. It is the concept of someone has to win and someone has to lose. It is reinforced through how we compete with one another. And a lot of times when we buy into those fear of failures, we don't allow ourselves to try. We don't give ourselves permission to have fun. We fall back into being too serious. We start punishing the self through the mind, hurting the body, hurting the emotional waters within, keeping ourselves stuck in the same patterns because we're afraid to venture out of our comfort zones. It is the reminder to give yourself permission to just try. Just like a child learning to walk, that child is going to fall down time and time again, but we don't sit there and yell at the child. The loving parent comes in, helps the child back up, and encourages it to keep going. That is what we need to be doing for ourselves. There is a divine parent of you that is here to listen to the inner child who is afraid and who is holding on to these stories of failure, of not being enough. And that is where the deep healing really begins, is having those honest conversations with yourself. We then went into a fear of responsibility. Now, when we're honest with ourselves, when you're in tune with your body and the sensations from your body, you're probably going to notice that when you're asked to do something that doesn't feel right for you, that your body has a very clear way of saying no. But what happens is the mind jumps in and says, well, just do it anyway. Just take care of it. We don't want to create any problems. We don't want to have any altercations. If I don't do it, nobody else is going to do it. And there creates a lot of resentment when we start going against what the wisdom of the body is saying. So the fear of responsibility was an opportunity to look at, where are you claiming responsibility of things that are not yours to hold? And this includes worrying about somebody else, trying to fix things for somebody else, trying to make somebody else feel better, doing things that you know other people can and should be doing for themselves, but being afraid to put a stop to that. It's also about claiming back the responsibility of what is yours to be responsible for. So we're responsible how we show up in our relationships. We're responsible for what we say, our actions, how we take care of the self. So there was an opportunity to bring yourself into balance. That brought us through Libra season, which was the scales. It was coming into more balance in that equation. Then we moved into a fear of death and a fear of purpose. This was stimulating us to be aware of how we allow fear to stand in the way instead of taking risks. So this is the leap of faith. And sometimes you get to those points in life where you're asked to trust in the unknown. You're asked to move into a higher version of yourself that you don't know yet, and you're probably very uncomfortable with. But you're asked to have faith and step up, to be vulnerable because you're ready to be vulnerable. When we feel those urges, those nudges to just try something, to go in a certain direction, or we start questioning, what is the purpose of life? Why am I even here? What is it that I'm here to do, to be? Those are all journeys that come deeply back inwards towards the self, where you start to shed away the layers of all the pretending, wearing a mask, pretending to be somebody to fit into a certain social group, pretending things are fine when they're anything but fine, and probably feeling a lot of that anxiety within yourself of just being done with it all. So when we get to those points, there are opportunities for some deep self-reflection. There are opportunities to face those fears of, well, what if I just stop pretending? What if I had an honest conversation and I told people exactly how I felt, but without blaming them, but by claiming the responsibility of, that is how I feel in the equation, right? So we have to be very mindful that we're not taking our energy and projecting a blame or a shame or a guilt upon anybody else, but taking the time first to sit with those feelings that are coming up, in those fears, in those anxieties, in this ancestral healing that is surfacing, to get clear on what it is that you're truly intending to resolve, and then having the courage to articulate that. Articulate that in a way that is from the highest essence of love. Now, this last week, we just moved through the gateway of patterns, and we were brought through a fear of the past. So you may still be in that energy of, again, always being worried that the past is going to catch up to you, that that behavior that happened then is going to repeat itself. It prevents us from diving deeper into our relationships with others and again becoming more intimate. The teachings of Scorpio season. So when we're always afraid that a certain tone means this, or a behavioral pattern is going to come out and have this happen to it, then we're not allowing for new experiences. And yes, you may be triggered to certain sounds, to certain words, to certain phrases because something happened in the past. But if you are entering into a brand new relationship with a brand new individual and still holding on to the fears that this new person is going to repeat the cycle, then are you really showing up, allowing them to reveal themselves to you? Are we giving people the benefit of the doubt? Are you trusting in yourself to be wise enough to know when somebody is lying to you, when they are having some ill intentions? Do you trust in yourself enough to explore the possibilities of a relationship from an open heart, having that faith that you will receive the heads up if something is calling your attention forward? All too often, we show up in our relationships and we're guarded. The heart is blocked. We have the masks on. We only reveal what we want to reveal based on how safe we feel in the other person's presence. But is it really about the other person's presence, or is it a reflection of how much we actually trust in ourselves? So these were all opportunities to look at our patterns of behavior, our habitual habits that keep us in our comfort zones, that keep us going back to repeating the same cycles over and over and over again, how our self-saboteur creeps back in, and through the grace of Scorpio season, using that element of water, how we can expose the root and get to a resolution. So that was the journey. That was the journey over the last 5.5 weeks that now bring you back up to the high heart, brings you into reflecting on who are you in this moment? Are you feeling like you have been beaten down? Are you feeling like you are stuck in the mud? Are you feeling numb from everything that you've gone through? Or are you more aware? Are you more aware of a fresh version of yourself that has increased intuition, has increased clarity, has started to become aware of the patterns, the saboteur, is more alert to the changings of the energy, starting to see beyond the self into, I really am affected by the collective energy. There really is a pattern that shows up as we are changing through our astrological signs, through the teachings of their houses, through the 64 gates within the teachings of the gene keys, human design, that's the I Ching and the mandala wheel. You are affected by the changing of the seasons, the natural rhythms, the natural cycles. And when we start to become aware of that, when we come back to our place in the now, when we reflect on how the fears try to get a hold on us, and when successful, they can really overwhelm the body. But when we are allowing ourselves to center back into the breath, to root the feet back to the ground, to remind ourselves that the trees that are reflecting out in the world, that are shedding their leaves and bearing it all, they're not standing alone. Underneath the surface, their roots are all intertwined. They are a network of support for one another. And why? Because they are wise. And they know that alone they are weak, but together they will stand. And they have stood through the test of time, time and time again. What brings them down? Usually it's human behavior. Now there is a balance in that relationship of giving and receiving, and that is acknowledged. But when we look at ourselves as humanity and we look at how we have been trained to be separate, to be divided, well, is there a fear that if we were to come together, we just might be more powerful to overthrow these systems that are not working? So they want to keep us separated. They want to keep you separated from recognizing your highest potential. But as the veil is thinning and the blinders are coming off, we're not buying into that so easily anymore. This is an opportunity for radical ascension. And as Mother Earth is going through her radical ascension right now, we are coming along on the journey. So we have an opportunity to bring ourselves back into balance with the natural rhythms, the natural cycles, paying attention to the moon phases, paying attention to the body, paying attention to what is correct for you. This is your journey. This is self-actualization. Nobody can tell you how to feel. Nobody can give you a to-do book. Nobody can show you exactly the path to travel. You have to trust the wisdom within. Why? Because you're here to divinely parent the child within yourself. You're here to support yourself through your own evolution. You're here to build the relationship with your higher self, to tap into the higher mind, the higher body, the soul level. So you have all these layers to your auric field. And as long as we're stuck in here, we're stuck in our minds, we're stuck in our emotions, we're stuck in the density of the gravity of the physical. We're not then breathing up and out to tap into the possibilities of, well, what if? What if there's new ways of doing things? What if there's a new perspective? And that starts as easy as allowing the gift of freshness back into your life. And that is the gift that is here for us this week in the teachings of the Gene Keys by Richard Rudd, is freshness. How can you start bringing in some new clarity, new air, new changes to your habitual patterns this week? So when you're feeling stuck, that's an awareness. How can you start changing up your pattern so that you're not stuck? How can you come out of the mind and the worries and allow yourself to come into the heart, to breathe, to take the weight off your shoulders, to surrender it back over, to admit to yourself, I'm afraid, I'm scared, I don't know the answers. And in the honest vulnerability, standing exposed to the higher realms, inviting in the help of God, Source, the Creator, whatever that is for you, because you have the free will and you have to ask. And then allowing yourself to stay open, allowing yourself to create the joy, the love, the understanding that you have a divine father and mother who are here to guide the way. When we come back to the now, when we come back to the self, when you come back to your sovereign sacredness, then the doorways open to unlimited possibilities. So embrace this time of the changes of the season, embrace this opportunity in the full moon of Taurus to shine a light. Shine a light on the stability of your foundation, meaning your belief within yourself. Be honest in your conversation. Maybe journal through some of the things that are arising for you, some of the self-talk. And then with fresh eyes, take another look at that and say, where did I learn that from? And is that your truth? Is that really your truth? I am sending you all so much love. Embrace the journey. If you want some tools to support you, I do offer human design readings. There are opportunities to get your free chart, to sign up for an introductory course as well. In the More Than Existing Academy of Higher Consciousness, of where I am one of the teachers, there are so many self-guided courses, tools, meditations, resources available to support you. I highly encourage to go check it out. The link is down below if you are watching this from YouTube. The link is in my Facebook page if you are watching this through the social channels. Namaste. The light in me sees the light in you, and I look forward to connecting again. Take care.